जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीर वनचारी यमुना तीर वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीर वनचारी यमुना तीर वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्रीमद् भागवत महापुराण की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna. I would like to welcome all of you for our discussion today morning on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 3, chapter entitled Liberation from the Illusory Energy, and this text 38. Na atma jajana na marishyati naidhate so न क्षीयते सवनविद व्यभिचारिणामहि सर्वत्र शश्वत अनपाय उपलब्धि मात्रं प्राणो यथेन्द्रिय बलेन विकल्पितं सत् न आत्मा जजान न मरिष्यति नैधते असौ न क्षीयते सवनविद व्यभिचारिणामहि सर्वत्र शश्वत अनपाय उपलब्धि मात्रं प्राणो यथेन्द्रिय बलेन विकल्पितं सत् न आत्मा जजान न मरिष्यति नैधते असौ न क्षीयते सवनविद व्यभिचारिणामहि सर्वत्र शश्वत अनपाय उपलब्धि मात्रं प्राणो यथेन्द्रिय बलेन विकल्पितं सत् आत्मा मरिष्यति नैधते असौ न No, never. Atma, the soul. Jajana was born. No, never. Marishyati will die. No, does not. Edhate grow. Asau this. No, does not. Kshiyate become diminished. Savanavit, the knower of these phases of time. Vabhicharinam, as they occur in other changing beings. He indeed, sarvatra, everywhere, shashvat, constantly, anapayi, never disappearing, upalabdhi matram, pure consciousness, pranaha yatha, just like the life air within the body, indriya balena, by the force of the senses, vikalpitam, imagined as dividend, imagined as divided, sat, becoming. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charana Arvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Brahman, the eternal soul, was never born and will never die, nor does it grow or decay. That spiritual soul is actually the knower of the youth, middle age, and death of the material body. Thus, the soul can be understood to be pure consciousness, existing everywhere at all times and never being destroyed. Just as the life air within the body, although one, becomes manifest as many in contact with the various material senses, the one soul appears to assume various material designations in contact with the material body. Purport. Again, the purports are huge. I'll try to read one today. The Vedic aphorism, Sarvam Khalvam Idam Brahma, everything is Brahman, has been explained in this chapter of the Bhagavatam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the original source of everything. By expanding his internal potency, he manifests the spiritual world. And by expanding his external potency, he manifests the material cosmos. The conditioned living entity is originally part and parcel of the superior, internal potency of the Lord. But being in contact with illusion, he falls under the clutches of the external potency. In any case, since everything is an expansion of the potency of the Supreme Brahman, everything is part and parcel of the Lord's spiritual potency. Bhayam dvitiya biniveshata syad ishad apetasya viparyayas asmritihi. When a living entity thinks that the material world is not part and parcel of the Lord's potency, but is a separate existence, liable to be controlled and enjoyed by the tiny jiva soul, he is under viparyayaha, or a wrong conception. Asmritihi. Thus, the living entity forgets that the Supreme Lord is the proprietor of everything, everything being an expansion of the Lord. Srila Sridhar Swami has pointed out that although the Lord's external potency is subject to transformations such as birth, growth, decay, and death, one should not foolishly conclude that the Lord's internal potency, the living entity, is also subject to these changes. Both the living entity and material nature are ultimately Brahman, being expansions of the Supreme Brahman. But the Vedas clearly say, Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyate. The Lord's potencies are Vividha, or multifarious. Thus, according to this verse, Atma Jajanana Marishyati Naidhate Asauna Kshiyate. The soul is never born, nor does it die, and it certainly cannot grow or decay like material body. Although the visible material body passes through boyhood, adolescence, and old age, or although one may take birth as a demigod, human being, plant, or animal, the spirit soul never changes his external constitutional position. Rather, he falsely identifies with the external transformations of the material body and thus imposes upon himself a psychological condition called illusion. This miserable illusory experience of seeing oneself transformed and ultimately annihilated by the laws of nature can be nullified by transcendental knowledge of one's eternal status as the supreme energy of the Lord. The word sarvatra in this verse should not be foolishly misinterpreted to mean that the individual soul is all pervading. The soul is not born nor does it die. Yet in our present conditioned state we falsely identify with the birth and death of the body. Therefore, because an all-pervading soul would never fall into illusion, sarvatra cannot indicate that the individual soul is all-pervading. Illusion implies an incomplete understanding of reality, which would not be possible for an all-pervading entity. Therefore, the word sarvatra is understood to mean the pure spirit soul exists in all material conditions. In deep sleep, for example, consciousness may not overtly be manifest, and yet the spirit soul is understood to be present within the body. Similarly, it is understood from Bhagavad Gita that the spirit soul, Nitya Sarvagataha, may exist even within fire, water, or outer space, since the existence of the soul never depends upon material conditions, but is an eternal fact. The consciousness of the soul is more or less manifest according to the possibilities offered by a particular material situation. Just as electric light is manifest in a particular intensity and color according to the bulb available. The electrical energy is one, but it is manifested variously according to material conditions. The argument may be raised that although the spirit soul is pure consciousness, upalabdhi matram, it is our practical experience that consciousness is constantly transformed. If I am thinking of a blue object such as the sky, then my previous thought of a yellow object such as a flower is destroyed. Similarly, if I become aware that I am hungry, then my consciousness of the blue sky is destroyed. In this way, consciousness is constantly being transformed. Srila Sridhar Swami has replied that consciousness itself is eternal, but in contact with the material senses, it may be manifest in various ways. The example of life air is very appropriate. Prana or the life air is one, but in contact with the different senses, it is manifest as the power to see, the power to hear, and so on. Similarly, consciousness, being spiritual, is ultimately one, but when in contact with the various senses, it may be perceived in terms of particular sensory function. But the state of consciousness is an eternal fact that cannot be changed, although it may be temporarily covered by Maya. When one becomes Krishna conscious, he is understood to be Dhira. Dhiras tatrana muhyati. At that time, one is no longer subject to bewilderment by falsely identifying his consciousness with the transformations of material nature. From the statement Tattvam Asi, found in the Chandogya Upanishad, it is to be understood that spiritual knowledge is not impersonal but entails gradually perceiving the pure spirit soul within the material body. Just as in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna repeatedly says Aham or I, this Vedic aphorism uses the word Tvam or you to indicate that just as the absolute truth is the supreme personality of Godhead, the individual spark of Brahman, Tat, is also an eternal personality, Tvam. Therefore, according to Srila Jiva Goswami, it is to be understood that the individual spark of Brahman is eternally conscious. Vishwacharya Thakur has further pointed out that instead of wasting time trying to understand the truth in its impersonal aspect, which is merely the negation of temporary material variety, one should try to understand oneself to be an eternally conscious entity in the Jiva category. In other words, one should understand oneself to be eternally a conscious servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this regard, Srila Madhvacharya has quoted the following statement from the Moksha Dharma section of the Mahabharata. Ahami jiva samagyo vai mai jiva sanatanaha maivam tvayanu mantravyam drishto jivo mayetiha aham shreyo vidasyami yathadhikaram ishvaraha. The living entity known as Jiva is not different from me, for he is my expansion. Thus the living entity is eternal as I am and always exists within me. But you should not artificially think, now I have seen the soul. Rather, I as the Supreme Positive Godhead will bestow the benediction upon you when you are actually qualified. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamaiham Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Pitamscha Namaom Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaurat Vishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaustute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानु सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयति गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरु दीनतारिणम्। Hare Krishna. So I'd like to welcome all of you for continuing our discussion on Canto 11, Chapter 3, chapter entitled Liberation from the Illusory Energy. And we are discussing today on text 38. So as the very, very philosophical discussion as it is going on in this section, Pippalayan Muni is talking about the Brahman, the eternal soul, was never born and will never die, nor does it grow or decay. Thus that spirit soul is actually the knower of the youth, middle age and death of the mortal body. So, and the explanation of consciousness is there. So, in the purport it is written, Sarva Khalvam Idam Brahma. Right? So, this Vedic aphorism, right, it says that everything emanates from Brahman. Sarva. Right? Krishna also, in the Chatushloki Gita, the 8th verse, 10.8, the first verse actually, the 8th verse of the 10th chapter, Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhavaha mattah sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. So sarvam khalva idam brahma, and Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhava. Very close. Sarvam, I am the source of everything. What is this everything that Krishna is source of? The first is Krishna is the source of the spiritual world. Very good. Which is the expansion of his internal energy, which is called Antaranga Shakti. Krishna is also the source of the material world, which is the expansion of his external potency, which is called Bahiranga Shakti. Krishna is also the source of the living entities, which are called marginal potency, which is also called Tatastha Shakti. So the spiritual world, the material world, and the individual souls. Krishna is saying, Aham sarvasya prabhavaha. I am the source of everything. So, everything is spiritual in origin. If it's coming from Krishna, who is all spirit, nothing can be material, right? Like from the sun, darkness cannot come from the sun. Absence of the sunlight or absence of sun causes darkness. So, everything is spiritual in origin. But what happens? Because we are covered by illusion, Godhead is light, Nescience is darkness. Wherever there is light, there cannot be darkness. Krishna Surya Sama, Maya hai andhakar, Jaha Krishna taha nahi mayar adhikar. How does Maya influence us? How does illusion overcome us? As soon as the soul thinks Krishna viparyayaha, something different from Krishna, bhayam dvitiya abhiniveshata syat. Why does fear and illusion? So fear and illusion arise from seeing duality, from thinking something can exist separate from Krishna, something can exist apart from Krishna. So what does the soul forget? The soul forgets that everything is Krishna's energy. Nothing is separate from Krishna. Viparyayaha. That is the wrong conception. And as soon as I think something is separate from Krishna, right? Like Raj Gopal Prabhu is sitting in front of me now. He has his spectacles lying in front of him. So I can clearly see maybe the owner is sitting close to the spectacles. Right? But if the spectacles are lying somewhere on the table at the reception, and the Raj Gopal Prabhu is not close by, I may think, I don't know who is the owner. It is lying there. It has been lying for days. Let me pick it up. It belongs to me now. Similarly, as soon as we forget that Krishna, everything is Krishna's energy, we forget Krishna's connection with it, the bhava comes, I am God. I am the enjoyer. I will take it. Because I forget sambandha with Krishna. And I start thinking now it is mine. Like as when we are born, we don't bring anything with us. We all are born naked. We don't bring anything. And we don't take anything along with us when we die. Even a broken needle will not go with us. But while we are living in this world, what happens? We forget Krishna. We forget everything is Krishna's energy. And I start thinking, everything belongs to me. And I am competing with others. Everyone is competing who will get to own more of energy. But all this energy belongs to whom? It belongs to Krishna. So the real conception, Samyak Darshan, is everything belongs to Krishna and I am Krishna's servant. Srila Prabhupada would say, those who are the representatives of God, various religions have been started by them and they never claimed that I am God. Jesus said, I am the Son of God. Muhammad said, I am the messenger of God. Right? And the Vedic scriptures are telling that Jivera Swarup Hoy Krishnera Nityadas, that we are all servants of God. Everyone is servant of God. And if I am the servant, what am I supposed to do? As servant, engage everything in service of God. But ignorance, what happens because of ignorance? When the ignorance is everything's connection with Krishna. Krishna Sambandha, when I forget, then I am overcome by illusion. And how does, so the soul never undergoes transformation. The birth, growth, old age, death is all happening to the body, the material energy. It's the body which decays, the soul does not. Right? Like Srila Prabhupada gives the example, I may be sitting in a car. Now I sit in the car remains with its shape, and I am as I am. When I enter a train, then I can move the train, but the train is separate and I am separate. Right? If I sit in a plane as a pilot, the vehicle is different and the driver is different. Similarly, this body is the vehicle and the soul is the driver. And the body is changing. But the soul should not, the driver should not think I am changing. Right? Sometimes it is, some arguments may be given if the vehicle undergoes accident, it affects the driver. It affects the driver to the point the driver thinks I am the owner or I was the owner. Similarly, the body is changing, the soul does not. But the changing body appears to be bringing change in the consciousness of the soul. Why? As much as I think I own this energy, that much I am going to get affected by it. So, misidentifying with the body, with matter, it causes this psychological illusion. The false feeling there is transformation happening in me. Right? There is annihilation, this everything is going to end. Nothing is ending. Right? So the body is changing, the soul is not. Right? So another explanation is given here of the word sarvatra that is used here in this verse. So sarvatra, in terms of the soul's presence, it does not mean that the soul is all pervading as Krishna. Right? Like the Lord. Sarvatra means it exists in all conditions. Right? Like our Jayadvait Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada disciple, he had written an article in the Back to Godhead magazine that I think this is like few decades ago when this article was written. And Maharaj writes there that scientists have now found bacteria on the internal linings of the solar furnace. Right? Steel furnace. I'm sorry. The steel furnace is heated at the temperature of 1600 degrees Celsius. And there are bacteria which are alive there. They have found bacteria deep, deep below the oceans where volcanoes are erupting. Right? So the soul can exist sarvatra, sarvagataha, it means soul can exist in all conditions. It does not mean that the soul is all pervading. Even when we are in deep sleep, even we are sometime in a comatose condition, unconscious condition, the body is not responding, but the soul remains. So the consciousness may not be manifest at those times, right? But the existence continues. So the example is given just like electricity is always present, though the bulb may be off. The bulb is off, but the electricity is always present, right? So another argument that is given in the verse, in the purport, is that the consciousness is always changing. Thoughts arise, thoughts perish. What is the response? Oh, consciousness itself is eternal. Its expressions vary due to contact with the senses. So the consciousness is eternal. But as it comes with the senses and the impressions, what will happen? Its expressions vary. So the purport is ending. That's why Krishna is saying, become dhira. Dhiras tatrana muhyati. The external body will change, which is the gross body. There will be changes. You can't do anything about it. Boyhood, youth, old age. Become dhira. Don't get agitated. Right? I am young, I can do anything. Wait, become sober, become sober. Right? Oh, I am old, I can't do anything. Become sober. You are not old. You are not young. These are the changes to the external body. And while we are interacting with matter, the sensory experiences will register, success, failure, sukha, dukkha, happiness, distress in the mind. Even with that disturbance, that change, I should not get affected. Right? Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkhada agapapayino nityas tam titikshasva bharatah. Titikshva, tolerate. These external, gross and subtle changes that appear, you are not that. Don't get affected by them. And that's why the purport is ending with Tattvam Asi. You are that Brahman. You are that spirit. You are part and parcel of Krishna. You are servant of Krishna. Do not forget that. Do not get affected by matter. So, the month of Kartik is going on, and I have 5 minutes with me now. Today happens to be the 8th day of the Kartik month, and this 8th day is also celebrated as Bahulashtami. In Vrindavan today, there will be a huge festival of Bahulashtami, and with Bahulashtami, what coincides is the appearance of Radha Kund. Right? So in Vrindavan today, midnight, actually it's over in that part of the world now. At midnight, thousands and thousands of people must have come to Radha Kund, taken bath, offered, they offer ghee lamps, they will offer flowers, they'll offer their heartfelt prayers to Radha Kund. So today is the day, Bahulashtami. So in the Nectar of Instruction, verse 11, Rupa Goswami says, Krishnasyochai pranaya vasati preyasibhyo apiradha kundam chasya munibhirabitas tadrigeva vyadhayi yat preshthir api alam asulabham kim punarbhakti bhajam tat premedam sakridapi sarah snatur avishkaroti. Rupa Goswami says, of the many objects of favored delight and of all the lovable damsels of Rajabhumi, Srimati Radharani is certainly the most treasured object of Krishna's love. And in every respect, her divine Kunda, Radha Kunda, is described by great sages as similarly dear to Krishna. Undoubtedly, Radha Kund is rarely attained even by the great devotees. Therefore, it is even more difficult for ordinary devotees to attain. If one simply bathes once within those holy waters, one's pure love of Krishna is fully aroused. So that's the glorification of Radha Kund. So Radha Kund is manifested on the 8th day, which is the Bahulashtami. And Srila Vishwanath Thakur gives a beautiful description of the pastime of the appearance of Radha Kund in the 10th canto, 36th chapter, 16th verse purport. And he gives it as conversation. So my request to all of you is kindly please read today this 10th canto, 36th chapter, 16th verse purport. Very beautiful conversation is given there and how Radha Kund appears. So Bahulashtami, behind Bahulashtami is also a very beautiful pastime where there was a cow in Vrindavan, there was a cow by the name Bahula. This Bahula cow took shelter of Krishna. On the bank of Krishna Kund in Vrindavan, when we do Vrindavan Parikrama, you'll find on the bank of Krishna Kund, there is a temple where there are deities of a cow, a calf, a brahmana, a tiger and Krishna. Who all are there? The cow, her calf, brahmana, tiger and Krishna. Right? And all of them are part of this pastime of Bahulashtami. So once this cow Bahula, when she was peacefully grazing, a tiger attacked her. And Bahula, this cow, requested the tiger to allow her to return to her calf, feed the calf, bid farewell to the calf, and she said, then I will come back and you can make a meal of me. And the tiger agreed to her proposal, and the tiger waited for her return. In the meantime, the cow went to the master, the brahmana, and the calf and informed the details. See, this is what has happened today. I have come for the last time to serve and inform all of you. After I have fed my calf, I will go to the tiger and the tiger will eat me today. So when they heard her pitiful story, all of them, the brahmana and the calf, both of them, they volunteered that in your place we will go to the tiger and let tiger have us as his meal. And Bahula declined this selfless offer. But in the end, all three of them, the cow, the calf and the brahmana, they returned to the tiger to offer themselves. And the tiger was delighted. Wow, I thought I will only get breakfast today. Lunch and dinner also has come. three guys here. And while the tiger was contemplating which victim to eat first, right? Who appeared there? Krishna personally appeared there. Krishna is the presiding deity of Vrindavan and the deity of Dharma, and is the guardian of all the residents of Vraja. Krishna gave darshan to this tiger holding a chakra. Krishna was holding a chakra, and Krishna instructed this tiger to show leniency to the cow and its skin, the calf. Right? Why? Because the cow was so truthful and for her honorable act. And the tiger released Bahula from her promise, and the calf and the brahmana, they both rejoiced. Wow, that the cow has been spared, my mother has been spared. And they were so grateful for Krishna's intervention. And Krishna was so pleased with Bahula's, this cow's truthfulness and integrity. Krishna named that forest as Bahulavan. That part of Vrindavan was given the name Bahulavan, and Krishna blessed the cow that in your next birth you will become my consort as one of my wives. And from that day on, this pastime is remembered in Vrindavan during the month of Kartik as Bahulashtami. And Radha Kund happens to be within this Bahulavan. Right? Srupa Goswami, in his Upadeshamrit, he says, Vaikuntha Janitovara Madhupuri Tatrapi Ratsotsavad Vrindaranya Mudara Pani Ramana Tatrapi Govardhana Radha Kundam Ihapi Gokulapate Premamrita Plavana Kuryad Asya Virajato Giritate Sevam Vivekina Kaha. So Rupa Goswami says, the holy place known as Mathura is spiritually superior to Vaikuntha, the transcendental world, because the Lord appeared in Mathura. Superior to Mathura Puri is the transcendental forest of Vrindavan, because Krishna performed his Raslila pastimes there. And superior to forest of Vrindavan is Govardhan Hill, for it was raised by the divine hand of Sri Krishna and was again the site of various loving pastimes. And above all, the super excellent Sri Radha Kund stands supreme, for it is overflooded with the ambrosial nectarian prema of the Lord of Gokul, Sri Krishna. Right? And in Lord Chaitanya's pastime, Radha Kund appears at two places in Navadvip Dham. One is at Rutudvip and one is at Antardvip. So at Rutudvip, in Navadvip Bhavataranga, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes the mood and activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he came to Rutudvip. He says, Rutudvipam tato gatva drishtva shobham vanasya cha Radha kundadikam smritva Ruroda Sachinandanaha. Arriving at Ritudvip and seeing the beauty of the forest, Sachinandan started crying while remembering Radha Kund and other sacred places. So this was Ritudvip. In Antardvip, at the house of Chandrasekhar Acharya, the maternal uncle of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he made this Chaitanya Mat, which is the headquarters of Gaudiya Mat. And under the guidance of Bhaktivedanta Thakur, his disciples, they brought the sacred waters from Radha Kund. They got Giriraj Shilas from Govardhan Hill. They got a Tamal tree and a Kadamba tree from Vrindavan. And this is where Radha Kund and Shyama Kund are there. And Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur would meditate the appearance of Radha Kund there. Right? So, my request to all of you is kindly read the 10:36:16 purport, and you will enjoy, you'll relish how beautiful conversation between Krishna and the gopis and the appearance of Radha Kund is explained there. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavat Mahapurana ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Thank you. Hare Krishna. 10:36:16. 36:16.